Hey everyone, it's Jakai Lewis back with another episode of Kai Talks. I'm feeling great today. I know it seemed like it's been a while since you guys have heard from me, but it's great quality content, so we got to make sure we give it some time for people to see it and take it all in. But it is June, and I'm happy to be back to release another episode. And today I have an amazing guest. He goes by the name of Tommy Love. He is a producer, songwriter, singer, amongst many other things. He's also just a great mind and a great human being. So I'm excited for you guys to meet him and for him and I to have a conversation today. So I'm going to just leave it there and let's just get the conversation started. Hey, Tommy, how are you?
What's up, Kai?
It's so good to have you here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being
No, yeah,
here.
for sure. Thank you for having me. I'm
Absolutely.
excited to even, have this conversation with you.
Yeah. I want to start here because this is the latest thing you just released, which is your Like the Sun record.
Yeah.
Tell me how that came about and how did you get Pound Side for the feature?
Okay, yeah, that's so Like the Sun is a record I just released under a moniker that I created called Robots Aren't Real. So I've been working on this concept for a long time, but I finally just went ahead and kind of fleshed it out and figured out the kind of story that I wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the record coming together, I make all of my own production. So, I made the beat, a few different versions of it, and I had a song in my head that a melody that I liked, but I didn't really have lyrics for it. So I knew I wanted the song to kind of be about the end of the world. So the idea of like the sun is it's pretty much, the sun is a big explosion. So it's like, okay, the end of the world could be an explosion, metaphorically, however people want to think about it. And that's kind of how the lyrics started to come to me. Now, as far as Pound Side getting on the record, that kind of really happens naturally. I was finishing up the record at my homie's crib, my homie Manny Lorenko, and him and Pound Side are really good friends. And just through that relationship, Pound Side and I also just, kind of formed a connection a little bit. And as I was working on the song, he just came into the room. I guess he heard it. He was like, "Yo, I like this, bro. Let me hop on this."
Wow.
I was like, "Sure, let's do it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never, I guess it's an unlikely pairing for most people. Um, but for me, I'm actually really proud of that because, um, the Philly music scene, I've seen it go through so many different changes and shifts since I've been, making music myself. And Poundside is one of the people who was a part of, one of our eras, especially during the time when I was a teenager, young adult. So just being able to put him on a song that was kind of taking him outside of his comfort zone, but then also being a new story that I wanted to tell, I felt like it was a moment for Philadelphia music, not just my own story in my career.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So where did you grow up in Philly? What part of Philly?
I'm from Germantown.
Germantown.
Yeah.
Nice. So I don't know if that's how you guys are feeling when you made the record, but I love when Philly artists get together and like you said, like an unlikely pairing, but it makes a specific type of magic because
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed the song a lot. I was listening to it a lot repeatedly on the way here, on the drive here.
Thank you.
And also under this creative story that you have now with Robots Aren't Real, you have this other song that I really, really enjoyed called No Contact. I
Thank you.
really like that song a lot and how you tweaked your voice. What was the idea behind making your voice sound like that?
Um, so so like I said, robots aren't real is a concept that I've been working on for a while. And I think part of the reasons why it took me so long to really step out is because I truly didn't have that full confidence in myself, you know? And that song ironically came out 3 years ago. You know what I mean?
What? Yes, it did.
2022.
Yep.
So I think that was a time when I still had a different identity for myself. Just the brand that I was building and also just how I viewed myself as a creative. So changing my voice was kind of a way for me to kind of hide behind the mask of, it's like I like this song, but I don't really want to be in the forefront of it. I don't want to be the face. I don't want to be the artist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I started off as a producer, so it was kind of like I really wasn't ready to take that step into artistry just yet, but I still had a song that I wanted to get out there to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
How did you get to the point of Robots Aren't Real? Is it this new AI kind of like takeover that's going on what influenced you to create the storyline?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it right on the nose. I so a while ago, I was just going by the name Tommy Love,
Mm-hmm.
and producer tags was a really big thing. Metro Boomin's tag is really prominent. You can think of a producer tag for whatever whoever your favorite producer is. At the time, I didn't really have a producer tag that I liked. So I was watching an old episode of the Rugrats, and there was an episode where I think they were like sneaking into their parents' bedroom or something, and they were afraid of a robot. And it's a point in the episode, it's like an audio clip where Chucky says to Tommy, he says, "Tommy, robots aren't real." And I started using it as my producer tag for a while. And then I wound up just eventually, I was like, yo, like, I like that. Like, that phrase, robots aren't real. I like that phrase. I'm gonna make that my Instagram name. And at the time, I wasn't thinking deeply about, oh, robots versus humanity and da 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 da, but uh as I kind of just sat and pondered on it, I was like, man, like it's getting a little crazy with technology. Like even in the music space, like a lot of things that we do aren't necessarily man-made anymore. Like I started off playing instruments, at my church, and that's how before I even picked up a laptop or anything.
Mm.
Now, you go to the studio, it's rare that you'll see people playing an instrument. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Not rare, but it's not as common as it used to be. So just like I started seeing like how technology was just kind of taking over every aspect of our life, and I was like, dang, this is like just a great social commentary just about where we are in society. Just everything is so robotic. You know what I mean? It's automated. Not to say this is a bad thing or a good thing. It just is what it is. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's really up to for you to decide like, okay, well, what is real and what is fake? Because at the end of the day, you know, you're influenced by it just as much as I am. You know what I mean? So, I just felt like it was a good way for me to like speak on society, in a slick way.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny you say things aren't happening as much as they used to as far as people using instruments. I saw on Twitter a few days ago, it came across my TL feed of like Ryan Leslie. It was like an old video where he would like be at the piano, then he'll run and go play the guitar, then he'll run and go play something else, and then just add all those sounds together. It was like the coolest thing ever. But it just was very. It's like wow, it's been a while since you actually saw something like that. But you usually see people like pushing buttons, not really so
Mm-hmm.
much playing instruments. So that was a good point.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite videos.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm
Yeah, I
talking
know
about, right?
exactly the video.
It's so good. I'm actually gonna watch it after the interview is over. It's so satisfying. Growing up, what was one of your favorite experiences like with music or just something that you remember that kind of like inspires you with what you do in your creations? Okay.
um, Man, growing up, I would say definitely just being in church. Like, uh, I mean, I come from a really creative family.
Mm-hmm.
So my aunt was the choir director, my cousin was a drummer, my uncle played the organ. So it's kind of like I guess natural for me to like want to do those things as I got older. But um, yeah, just being in church, hearing the choir sing, and then also just wanting to go up there and like play with them or sing with them, or I just wanted to be honest, church was boring to me. Church was boring as a kid, so you always trying to find something to like occupy your time, keep your mind working. But I think those would probably be like my earliest memories, probably the most influential too at the same time. um yeah, I definitely say church, and just like traveling around to different churches in the tri-state, Jersey, New York, Connecticut, just hearing their musicians and, oh, okay, you guys play like this. It's similar to what we do, but it's slightly different. Okay, I can take some of that and bring it back to Philly when I go play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those would probably be like my most prominent memories of music for sure.
Mm-hmm. How'd you come up with like your new aesthetic of clothing? Because now a lot of it is like camouflage or like kind of like the vibe you have going on
All
now. How
right.
did you come on? I love it though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, so I always like camo. Like if you know me over the last probably like 5 to 10 years, I always like camo pants and like jean jackets and just that kind of look.
The
But I
boots are
think
so good.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of these boots actually like I feel like these are more like something I picked up for like the brand and just to like tell the story of like what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that the contrast that I'm trying to have is like, okay, nature is almost the escape from the digital world that we're in. And it already just kind of came together because that's naturally who I was. Like I said, I was already wearing camo and different things like that. But yeah, it's like, just taking a walk in the park or just taking a walk around the block is like that can be such an escape from just staring at your screen all day, whether it be your
Mm-hmm.
phone, your television, computer, whatever. I mean, I think that's just like that the contrast that I'm trying to have with the story that I'm telling, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it, you know, what you're doing with your music and your creativity, it shines outside of you. Like you're so calm, you just seem so at peace. I feel it. Which is really, really good. What are some of the things that you do to keep you sane outside of music? Like what are some of your own routines or behaviors that you try to make a priority to, keep yourself together?
That's a good question. Exercise for sure.
Okay.
Exercise, like I feel like exercise is really like a form of meditation or prayer or uh whatever you want to call it. Even it has a lot of physical benefits, but
Mm-hmm.
you feel the mental benefits way before you see the physical benefits of it. You know what I mean? Like after a good workout, you feel proud of yourself.
Yeah.
That's just like the main thing. You feel proud of yourself, but then also you get a sense of like mental clarity. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You're able to see like things without being so clouded by maybe the emotions that you're feeling in that moment or that day. You might have had a rough day. Sometimes we make impulsive decisions and things like that, but exercise and just even for 30 minutes, you get a little run in, whatever, you lift some weights, do some push-ups, whatever. Just get your body moving and like raise your body temperature. It helps you just to think more clearly and things like that. But then also I think creating every day for me, like I feel like we're all creatives as human beings. Like that's just the nature of a human is to
Yes.
create. You know what I'm saying? Like we have children, that's creation.
Yes.
So it's like creating every day for me keeps me mentally sane. It doesn't have to be music. It can be whatever. I can write something, like you said, I can draw something, which I rarely draw anything, but um yeah, just bringing something out of your mind that wasn't in the universe before, it helps me to just stay on a good mental path.
Mm-hmm. Which you reminded me. And shout out to my coworker Evans. He reminded me and let me know. He said it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So shout out to
Mm,
all of the men out there. We love you. We appreciate you, especially here at
yeah,
Kai Talk. So I just want to throw that out there.
yeah,
How do you feel about? Because we talked about this a little bit via DM
yeah.
with Timberland's AI
All right.
label. How do you feel about that? A
I
lot of
mean,
people were pissed off. They was like, no.
yeah, I think it's mixed. I have mixed emotions about it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're already here. You know what I mean? Like people are trying to hold on to some sense of like control,
Mm-hmm.
when in actuality we really haven't been in control for a long time. Like
Mm.
I one of the things that I always talk about,
Mm.
me and my homie Manny Lorenko, shout out to Manny Lorenko. We always talk about new R&B music versus like older R&B music because one of his favorite singers is Whitney Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whitney Houston can you curse on?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Whitney Houston could sing her ass off.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So when you listen to Whitney Houston sing, uh, it's no auto tune on
And
that.
no one sounds like Whitney.
Nobody,
No one.
nobody.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? But also now with the invention of auto tune and Melodyne and things like that, it's kind of like the voice. You're hearing the voice in an unnatural way.
Mm-hmm.
And like even me, like I was an I'm still an audio engineer, but I was doing that mainly as my main source of income for a long time. So when I would record singers, I would be trying to get that polish and that shine on the vocal because you want it to sound competitive with everything that's on the radio or everything that's coming out. But we start to, when you have those kids who come up and they want to be singers and they're listening to Beyonce and they're listening to Chris Brown and they're listening to SZA,
Mm-hmm.
those aren't natural voices that you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those are heavily processed voices that you're hearing.
Mm.
So now you have kids who are growing up to sing a certain way that's not even natural.
Wow.
So you'll never have somebody trying to sing like Whitney Houston anymore because they're trying to sing like Mariah the Scientist.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not no shade
Right.
to Mariah the Scientist, or like, I always say like Janae was one of my favorite singers growing up. You feel what I'm saying? Like I always loved her music, but it's a very unnatural way that she's singing. You know what I mean? It's very heavily processed, a lot of auto-tune, a lot of reverb, and you can't make that sound naturally with your voice. So we're kind of already in that gray area where it's like we're already androids in a way because we're working with the technology to create this music. So I think that the AI thing, like, I am a little upset about it just because of who Timbaland is. I think that says a lot more about it than like what he can actually do with it. You know what I mean? Because we all have access to the same tools, the same resources. Now at this point, we all have the same marketing avenues and everything now. So it's really more so about who Timbaland is and the fact that he's doing it. Cause it's like, okay, you could have just used it and, you didn't have to make a statement about it. Like, oh, like, let's champion AI and stuff like that, because let's not act like, it doesn't take away from the human aspect of what music is. And that's why we love music. Music is, it's like an emotional inducing frequency, like a drug almost, but it's in the form of sound and frequency. So people listen to a happy song when they want to be happy. They listen to a sad song when they feel sad. You know what I mean? So that's what we like about it, is the human emotion of it and the authenticity. So the more we take that away, it's like, what are we really needed for?
And that's what scares me. When I saw the headline, I'm like, no way. And then, nowadays, the first thing you do is go to the comments and see what everybody's saying, right?
Yeah.
And then there were people, like heavy people, important people in the industry that were just like, I love you, bro, but this is not it. And I get why, because we're, it's like you mentioned earlier, you said, and that's what's still stuck in my head since you said it. You said we weren't in control of things for a very long time. And I think now more than ever, this is the time for people like you and I, right? We have to do every day, where we can try to get some sense of control of something in our own lives and hold ourselves accountable to try to stay as grounded as possible with all these different things happening. Like even with the presidency and all that stuff, right? All of that, the government, they have their own agendas. They have their own things going on. That's never going to stop, right? But for us as people, we got to come back to this sense of like a common ground, like a common foundation, right? And gain control of our lives. And with me saying that, what is one thing you think we can do to start to do that? Like, what's one thing that we can do?
Educate ourselves. I think that's where it starts. I think, just hunger for knowledge, because that is one of the things that I feel like is also in danger. Like it goes hand in hand with the technology, but you started bringing up the government and stuff, and that's the talk I like.
Yeah, yes, yes.
But I think it's like, okay, we can make people believe whatever, because now people are getting their information from the internet. So it's almost like, right before the cameras came on, I was telling you how somebody made a comment to me the other day. I miss when people had their own opinions. Now everyone is forming their opinion from what is popular on the internet. And it's also crazy because we think that the internet is very big, but what we don't realize is what we see is such a very small portion of it. Like, there are 8 billion people on this planet. So for us, you don't even see everybody that you follow,
right?
On Twitter, Instagram, whatever, TikTok, you don't even see everybody that you follow. So there's no way you could ever have the opinions of the masses. You're really just getting whatever your algorithm is programming you to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think just having that thirst for knowledge and wanting to learn more and question everything. I think that's how you can kind of gain some sense of control in this new world, you know?
I think education that's a great answer. And you know, even when we talk about like culture, right? It's about knowing what to prioritize in your culture. Like I feel like education should be our number one priority, and just a sense of like moral code, right? You know, showing up every day, showing up punctually, like being on time. Just those little things that we tend to should want to put first, outside of like running a business, but even just starting at home, like starting education at home. And I think that's one of the things that we can take control of today, where we don't have to rely on like that system too much. Because you know, I had this conversation not even with anyone, I was having it with myself. I was watching an interview of Thomas Howell, and he was mentioning all the different cultural shifts in this idea of a cultural decline, right? And things are just changing so fast. Like even just when you go to the top of the totem pole of like the president, you have him arguing on social media with, you know, Elon Musk. And this is just showing and sending out messages that like, no matter what position you are, you can do whatever you want. There's not a sense of class or like tactness that you have to have, which it's supposed to be, right? But they're putting this idea out there that you don't have to have that. There's not a level of class you have to present to other people. And I'm just trying to combat all of that. Like even with my podcast and having people come up here and have conversations, even just giving Black men a platform to actually speak and give you guys the opportunity to do so. So let's just even talk about that, just our culture and what we should focus on in our culture, instead of just relying on what the government gives us or what the internet shows us.
Yeah. Man, you said a bunch of things right there. So I mean, so as far as like our culture, right? I think one thing that I encourage a lot of Black people to ask themselves is, what is Black culture? If I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, what is Black culture? Because you also said it's something, you know, that people have given us. And I think that's what people don't realize. And I have this argument with people all the time that we really don't even control what culture is anymore, Black culture is anymore, because we've gotten it from Hollywood and the media, and we think that Black culture is you know, LeBron James and Sexy Red, when it's like, okay, yes, it might be part of it. It might be part of it. Right. You know, I love, you know, Sexy Red is LeBron, but I also think that it's like we neglect the things that we actually created for ourselves. Like, you know, I had put this on my story a while ago. I was talking about how Black kids don't play jazz music anymore. That's one of the only things that was a true Black American art form.
Yes.
Before hip hop, and that's not, I love hip hop. I am hip hop.
Jazz comes first.
Jazz comes first. You know, that's our classical music. You know, like shout out to Bach and Beethoven, but
right.
Nah. It's like jazz is our music, and for us to not even take pride in that anymore, that tells you, like you said, it's a moral decline. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I think, like you said, just asking ourselves, okay, what is Black culture, right? And then one of the things that made me realize this was, you know, I grew up in Germantown, like Wayne Ave, you feel what I'm saying? So before I actually went to college, I didn't understand that there were Black people who come from all different types of cultures.
Yes.
You know, I went to Howard University, which really like opened my eyes to the fact that, yo, there are rich Black people.
Yes. Oh my God, college teaches you a lot. Yes.
There are rich Black people, there are poor Black people, but there are also poor Black people who don't see the world like you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, we gotta kind of like, I don't know if it's a conversation or if it's more so just like a observation, or is, you know, we got to really figure out, okay, what is culture to us? You know what I mean? And we got to really start to redefine that for ourselves, instead of allowing companies and corporations to say, oh, this is woke, this is black, this is black. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool, but your corporation is run by who?
Right. Right. Ding ding. Right. Like, hello. And what the media tries to push, not in support of it a lot of the times, what they try to feed our timelines and what we actually see, what you touched on a little bit too, with the like, the sexy reds and the LeBron Jameses of the world, which we love, right?
Yeah.
We we
Shout out
we
to
accept
Brian.
it all, but we need right. We need a little bit more of different things, and I think that's people like you and I come in where we're actually living embodiments of actually what we want to support and what we want to see. I think the
Hmm.
first thing that you can do with wanting to change the world is being the change you want to see, right? And
Exactly.
putting it out there, and that's why I thank you for your time today and for being here, because I was when I hit you up and told you the set day and time, I was excited because I knew exactly where this was going to go and the type of things that you like to actually discuss and talk about,
Mhm.
which a lot of people in our culture actually don't. And maybe not because they don't want to, or because they just don't know. Like, there's a lot of people who can't see certain things, or are kind of like ignorant to certain things, right?
Mhm.
Because they're not around it. Like, I got off of work yesterday and went home, and my grandmother was at the house with my mom. So I walk in, we got three generations in one room. And for the first time, probably the first time ever, we touched base on like some of the things that went wrong from each generation leading down to me.
Mm.
My grandmother says to me, she says, because I told her, I said, grandma, I'm like, I was sheltered a lot as a child. Like, all of my problems were fixed for me. I wasn't really shown how to manage money as a young person. And when sometimes when money comes into it, the family gets
Yeah,
it
that's
gets a
a
little tense.
touchy point. Yeah.
So, she just reminded me of her parents. So her parents were the last, well, my grandmother was married, but the marriage wasn't the best. But her parents were the last successful marriage.
Hmm.
They were the epitome of like the best woman or the best man that we ever could experience on earth. They were so kind, they were so loving, they took care of themselves and the community with not making much.
Hmm.
And they actually died married. So my grandmother died first, and then my grandfather died, but my grandmother took care of both of them. But my great grandfather was one of those people who taught people how to save money. You'll have an envelope for the bills. You'll have an envelope for
Yeah.
stuff you can do on the side, just little things like that. But they made the best of what they had. But when it comes to my grandmother and her getting married, and that wasn't being the best situation for her, that was the first inch of like single parent lifestyle.
Mm.
So all of the saving, all of the money that he could do when he was married wasn't the best for her, because she didn't have that other safe space.
Right.
So
Right.
that's when things started to transition. So when she broke that down to me, I'm like, oh, I get it. It's not that they didn't want to do it or that they didn't have the mental capacity to do it. She just probably really couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
So you got my grandmother, then my mom next, right?
Mm.
She didn't get married at all. So then it's me, and it's like, I get it. It's really like a continuation of things if it doesn't get corrected, and they only could do what they could have.
Mm.
But then it's me that's like learning from different things and like traveling to see like, okay, that actually wasn't right. They did the best they could, but now it's up to me with all of the knowledge and maybe, a better mentality and all the love that they gave to me to try to make it a bit better, right?
Mm.
So that conversation happening before we get here today was a lot more fuel for me, because I know I can have this conversation with you, which leads me to this point of like two-parent households, how that's important to the growth of a child, of a person. Just having them two around to see how a man is supposed to function, how a woman is supposed to function, and how that connection and partnership makes something so beautiful, and how it blossoms, right? So let's talk about that a bit. Did you grow up with both of your parents, or how did that go for you?
So my parents were never married, but I knew both of my parents growing up. Like, I spent more time with my mom as a younger child.
Mm-hmm.
Started to get closer to my dad as I got older.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew both of my parents, just not in the same household or not together. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So yeah, that was
Yeah.
my situation. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like that is very important, because essentially we have we have a generation of young men who are, very emotional. And I feel like, I'll include myself in this. Like, we don't know how to necessarily control our emotions for our women. You know what I'm saying? So I think that like you know that's the balance of the man and the woman is like we both have our strengths and our weaknesses, and that's why we're able to work together and pair well. But if you've never, like you said, if you've never had that example set before you, you're kind of just like making it up from the media or Hollywood or movies that you watch. And I also think that too, like you touched on a good point, because you know, as you go down the generations, times do change. You know, so things that may have worked for a man and a woman back in the 1950s may not have worked for a man and a woman in the 90s or the 70s even. You know what I mean? So I also think that that's why but that's also why it's important for us to have our own moral code and our own moral compass, because we'll be able to navigate through all of those time periods, you know, through our own, you know, through our own culture, you know, if we take control of it. But because as you see, like, you know, you can see like you know, like it's I don't think that marriage is necessarily like the best for everyone, but it obviously like has proven benefits, you know what I mean, for society and for children as a whole. So
yeah. And it is good to see. I want to bring this point up. Like, I do see a lot of, especially on social media now, like a lot of couples, even young couples, even get married. Like, I have a friend, Jordan, shout out to Jordan, love her dearly. She just got married. We just celebrated her marriage in Cancun this past January. So, you know, it's around and just trying to shed light on that a bit, but also just talking about the part of like, just the importance of, you know, partnership and wanting to just have the intention of like, if you want to build, actually build, you know, there's a certain way to actually want to do it the right way, to have the confidence to say, okay. And that's another thing too, where you shouldn't get far away from the idea of like truth, where truth is something that can be like fiddled with a little bit. You know what I mean? Like we're at that space now. I think one of the important things is having something to stand on, where everything is just up in the air, like up for question of like, if we just have something to be like, okay, like you said, this is our culture, this is the moral code we should live by. You know, if you're gonna, you know, romantically indulge with the woman, make sure that you want to support her or whatever's to come from that, because something's going to come from it, right?
At some point.
Right, at some point. So just having that moral code of standard of like, you know, this is what we should do. And I think if it's, you know, show more of that, it'd be a great concept. And it is out there, like it is out there for sure. And there are a lot of men and women who are doing the best that they can with what they know. And I think with the idea of putting more positive images out there is what's going to make all the difference too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think that and I was you actually caught me off guard when you said you were watching the Thomas Sowell interview, because I feel like we get a lot of our moral code and how we should operate in the world from entertainers, not just black people, not even just black people, just young people in America in general. Just get a lot of what they're supposed to do from entertainers, when it's entertainment. That's literally not real at all.
Right, at all.
So, you know, when you have a generation of kids listening to Future and they're thinking, yo, this is how I should operate with women, or listening to Jay-Z or listening to any of these rappers, you know what I mean? You know, it's troublesome. It can be troublesome, you know what I mean? So, and even young women too. I'm not just gonna place it on men either. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, they're listening to the same exact stuff. So, you know, and I think it's just in a woman's nature, you know what I mean? Whether you know they say this or not, like you guys want to please men. You guys want to look for that validation from
100%.
a man that you respect and that you admire. You know what I'm saying? Not every man, but someone that you admire. So, you know, if you're programmed to believe that men only value a woman's sexual prowess, then that's what you're gonna display. And you know, and you'll be just that. And I feel like a lot of young women get tricked into that, and a lot of young men get tricked into thinking like into thinking that lust is the thing that they should feed, not knowing that that's literally the deadliest thing for a man. You know what I mean?
Talk about
so
it, yes.
Yeah, I think that we just got to take more control of our own morals and like what we really stand for and believe. Because it's cool to say, okay, we have this stuff here for entertainment, but we have to literally leave it in that box.
That's it, right?
We gotta leave it in that box. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about that.
100% true. Yes, and it's a lot that we have to continue to learn. Me as a woman, you as a man, and also just the idea of like I can't sit here and tell you, you know, what to do as a man is the same way you can't tell me what to do as a woman, but all we can do is like, you know, support each other. That's my whole thing. And then all relationships are all kind of like connections don't look the same, and like you said earlier, things change of what the necessities and what the things that you need to make your relationship work are. You just have to figure out what works for y'all, but just the moral compass of saying I'm with you while you figure we're going to figure it out together, right? And just that oneness and that partnership, I think that's the most important thing. Like I hold my weight as your woman, you hold your weight as the man, and then I think that's what's going to make all the difference for us too. Our community, we have so much potential. Like we've for us to still be here and still do things, that's a lot because we've experienced a lot, like in our culture. And we have a lot of buying power too. As much as we say like our community is like,
we not broke.
No,
we not broke.
We give the funds up, okay, quick and in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's all about managing it better.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
So I don't know. This is just it's great. I just could sit here and just think about all we talked about so far.
Yeah. And then it's my fault. I
no,
didn't
go
cut
ahead.
you off. You said something, but it also goes into, I feel like, why I also like telling this whole like technology versus human story, because I feel like that's like, they want us to like be on some man versus woman, black versus white.
Yep.
It's really human versus robot at this point, because like, even you just said it, like our connections aren't even the same anymore. Like a lot of people are meeting each other on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or, we don't even know, we don't like, I have a song, it's not out yet, but it's the lyrics are like the lyrics say like, my resolution doesn't show me anything that's in your heart, right? So when I say my resolution, I'm talking about the resolution on my screen.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm essentially talking about like almost falling in love or infatuation with a woman through social media. When it's like, you don't even know this person. You don't even know if they washed today.
Right.
Right. And that's kind of where we are as a society, where it's like we kind of like form this whole opinion about somebody through pictures and like just lies. just lies. You know what I mean? And it's deep, where it's like, before, like my mom met my dad because my mom's first cousin, his name was Jerry, and my dad's name is Tom. So they were in a rap group called Tom and Jerry.
Wow, that's so cool.
So he was literally a friend of the family. She didn't like meet him just through some random thing, and that's cool, like if people meet through that way, but like I feel like it was more so back in the day, people were vetted. Like, okay, your family knows my family. I know you come from a good family. You have good values and morals. Okay, cool. Like, let's link and let's see how this could go, whatever. You know what I mean? But now it's just kind of like, I just met this shorty online, bro. Her shit fat.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up. Cause same, like, of course, my parents they're both from South Philly, so they're in the same areas, right? Two different extremes, but they're around. Like, people, like, oh, this is his family. Like, he's not a stranger, right? So that's how that happens, right? But you're right. You find someone in the neighborhood, you see that they come from a good family, and you just try to see if it works out. And most times back then, it actually really did. People are sometimes still together too from like their childhood, and then they have children and they're building families, and it's like really cool. Now it's so different. It's scary. It's scary. Like if you were to have children, would you do that? Like, would you try to mate them with someone that you know of, or you'll let them go out and do their own thing?
No, I'm running a strict household.
I
don't know if people know that, but no. I mean, I would absolutely. I wouldn't want to be controlling in any like regards like that, but I definitely would want to know who it is that you're seeking to like build your life with. You know what I'm saying? And I would hope that I raise my children in a way that they would want me to have input on that. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what you were touching on, as far as like why we need a 2-parent household, is because like I tend to gravitate to people who are family oriented, whether they be friends, romantic partners, even business partners. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that I do business with are family oriented people. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And that's because they just have a certain way that they operate in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that, when I do reach that point, it's like, okay, cool, like my children want my input on this because they understand that this is a decision for the family. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like this is your life. Like you're gonna be living, hopefully well beyond when I'm here. But it's like, hey, like I want my father to approve of you, or I
Mm-hmm.
want, I want my family to hold you in a high regard. You know what I mean? Because if they don't, then that means something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If they don't, then that means something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's obviously up to them to make the decision what they do beyond that. But yeah, I think that the family is like the core of everything. You know what I mean? That's where
Mm-hmm.
you get your moral compass and your moral code. So it's only right that they be involved, in some capacity.
In some capacity, yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said, in terms of wanting to deal with people, no matter if it's in business, friendship, whatever, just from them being family oriented. That's a good point. And there are a lot of black businesses too, might I add, that are flourishing with the husband and wife, or the partners doing it together. I'm starting to see that a lot now, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's because I'm actually looking for it or it's actually being pushed out more, but I enjoy seeing it because it says a lot. And then I would want to do business because it's like it shows you what they prioritize, what they stand for, and that they're actually doing it together as a unit. It's
Yeah.
really, really pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Did you see I think I ran into them because of the Roots picnic. What they call Cloud Donut?
Cloudy Donut, one of my
Yeah,
favorites,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I just
They
I just
killing
saw
it.
their page a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like a donut shop ran by a couple. That's dope.
Yeah, they killing it. And there's another one that I just actually found out about just recently. They have like a soul food store like on Ogans. It's called like Jamil's or something like that. And him and his wife are like promoting it together and everything, and
Okay,
it just looks really, really, really cool.
that's cool.
Um, and I want to have like a couple up here one day and have a conversation with them, and just to have that would be so cool for me. So
Yeah.
hopefully I can get that next up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can set that up for you. I feel like I know some people in mind that could
Yeah,
work for that.
please do.
Okay.
Um, and what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to say too, because we have so much good stuff. But I can't remember. It slipped my mind. It'll probably come back up later. But what's next for you?
So right now, I'm working on my album. I don't want to see the title yet, but I'm
Okay.
working on an album. It's essentially the singles that you've heard, but then a few other songs that I've had and I've been working on for a while. And I'm kind of like just really building this brand because in the music industry, like it's obviously you see with all the technology and everything going on, it's so easy to make music now.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it's not really about the music more so, it's about what do you stand for and
Yeah.
the story that you're telling, right?
Yes.
Because essentially, a lot of people they find their identity through music or through things that they support. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like even the idea of me wearing these boots or you wearing these Rick Owens is like it's almost I'm saying something to the world about who I am
Mm-hmm.
by wearing this or like by promoting this. You know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we do the same thing with artists. It's like it's saying something about who I am because I'm a fan of this artist. You know what I
Right.
mean? So for me, I'm just trying to really build out the brand and continue to just tell people what it is that I stand for and like what it is that I believe. And if you agree or if you find some synchronicity with it, then welcome aboard. And then for the people who don't, they can kind of immediately say, okay, that's not for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I have a single coming out on July 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this interview will be out by then.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
Okay,
Way
cool,
before
cool,
then.
cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so if it's out by then, yeah, they'll have the single. Now the single is called "Let's Go Camping," so that's kind of what you saw me promoting on my
Yes. That's how you
page right
promoting it.
now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Yeah,
Nice.
and I'm also still producing, but just not as much
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I'm just kind of really selective with it. Um, yeah, I've been working with a few different artists. I just did some stuff with artist named Joshua Mitchell. Um Who else working with? Working with my homie YR.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Uptown.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just I'm still producing, doing things like that. It's working with a lot of new artists and stuff, but yeah, mainly just building a brand.
Do you ever think about like moving out of Philly, or you want to stay home?
I think I always want to have a space here, like somewhere to lay my head and chill, but I would definitely spend time other places. But I feel like when you start moving around too much, you lose the essence of like who you are
Yes.
creatively. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's funny. I actually, who did I hear talking about that recently? Drewski. He was talking about it recently
Okay.
because they were telling him like Gilly and Waller were telling him like, hey, um, you should you should like not move to LA because if you're from Atlanta, like that's kind of where you got your sauce from. Like you got your sauce from
Mm.
Atlanta. So why would you move to LA and then because essentially we're creating from our subconscious mind. So
Right.
everything that you feed yourself subconsciously is what you're going to create from. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to stay around the Philly energy because it's like this is an energy that's really super untapped too. Like people don't
Yes.
understand like, yo, it's so many things that came out of Philly
Let's talk about it.
and man, it's like from the Gamble and Huff era
Yes.
to Dre and Vidal, the Neo Soul era. You know what I
Mm-mm-mm.
mean? Like, so it's so much untapped energy here that we have. It's so many great musicians that I just know that I'm like, man, if only we had the infrastructure, yo, like
If only we did.
this
Yeah.
people would be out of here. You know what I'm saying? And I think in the beginning when I first started, um, really getting it more into the music business, that was one of my goals. Is like, hey, I want to bring some infrastructure here to Philly. I still do. I still do want to bring some infrastructure here to Philly,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I just think that like other people have to want it as much too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's hard to do it by yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
if you got the willpower, anything can be done. But I think you just got to find like-minded individuals that are willing to take that risk with you. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. And that's one thing that since we brought up Cloudy Donut, that's one thing one of the owners talk about, which is Derek Fountain, and then Zodi too is his partner that they work together with. But he just said something along the terms of like, it's no more about, you know, maybe like the skin color you see or like where we're from. You it's about the mindset now. It's so much more important about the mindset. Of course we have to support our people, but the same mindset that you and I would have, this is why we're able to have this conversation, because we not only just of course don't think the same exact thing, but we have the same moral code, the same kind of vision of wanting to see people do better and for wanting ourselves to do better and to improve personally.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Just the mindset of like-minded individuals, how much power and how much that can create, just from having this conversation and just being dispersed throughout the world. Like when people view this, how much it may inspire someone
Yeah,
to do something they wanted to do for the longest of time or anything. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Hopefully so. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like from a young age, that's really important too. Like, um, so I'm actually also this is like a really big work in progress, but I am working on a book, which I plan on like publishing that years from now.
Nice.
But one of the themes that I'm exploring in my notes right now is like how like from a young age, how do you cultivate your identity? You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I feel like a lot of the problems that people see within them, or not even problems, but a lot of the insufficiencies that people see within themselves as they get older, they started from a very young
very
age. You
young
know what I
age.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of go back and rework a lot of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But from a young age, I feel like one of the things that my parents did very right was they almost instilled this like courage in me to just be myself. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I never needed like I never needed like any material things to feel good about myself. Like I never like I had a huge gap in my teeth when I was a kid and I never felt like unconfident or like,
Mm-hmm.
timid or shy or anything. I just always had like this like unwavering confidence about myself like, yo, you could really do anything you want to
Did
do.
right.
Yeah, like you smart, you smart, you look good, whatever, you smell good, you could do whatever, kid. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that was just kind of like how my I don't even know if they intentionally raised me like that, but that's just like how they were.
It
So
worked.
yeah, so it was just like I don't know. And I feel like a lot of people need that at a young age, so that when we
Mm-hmm.
get older, we're not as easily influenced by things that really don't matter. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like, yeah, you gotta kind of have that, like, that confidence, you know what I mean, to just say, all right, like, I want to do my own thing, because then that's how you attract those other individuals who are like-minded. You know
Yep.
what I mean? You got to be yourself.
Gotta be
It's the
yourself.
only way it's gonna work.
Yeah. 100%. Literally everything starts at home. And even with like building this podcast, like the reason why I asked this question, what does self-love mean to you, when I ask my guests, is because that's something my mom always embedded in me. Like, self-love is the best love. Always love yourself first. Make sure you don't be selfish, of course, but in a sense of like, putting yourself first. What do you actually want to do? Don't be a follower, be a leader in a sense.
Mm.
And like, I guess with me being the only child, even with like my dad, it's like whatever I wanted to do, they just allowed me to do it. And I was always encouraged to just do it. I was never, if I had a thought, no one would ever come to me and say, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. They'll just support it in it. However it works out, they'll let me figure it out. And I think
Right.
that's something that's missing too in our communities, is letting our children figure it out. We do a lot of things where we just do things to make them feel comfortable, in the sense of like trying to protect them in ways that don't necessarily need protecting. Like, we're just giving them material things don't really work. You gotta
Yeah.
like feed their mental, feed their confidence, feed their self-esteem, feed their like all of that moral code stuff, and learning how to protect their brothers and sisters, and like stand up for them, or if something's wrong, say that, be vocal about that and try to work on fixing it. So while I'm on this topic, right, with they call it, nurturing your inner child, right? When you go back to your childhood and you see how your grandparents instill things in you, how your parents instill things in you that still work with you today. But don't get it twisted. We might have fell short at certain things,
Oh yeah.
at some point in our life, right? And then that comes with accountability. What are some things you had to come to yourself in terms of yourself about, to hold yourself accountable for, to get to where you are now? What are some things you had to switch up for yourself, or be honest with yourself about, to be like, okay, I need to tweak this to get to this point of where I am today?
Man, so most recently, I mean, this is a really simple thing, but most recently was like smoking weed so
Mm-hmm.
much. No, it's crazy, right? Because like a lot of people smoke weed now, whatever. It's like it's a cool thing to do. But I picked up the habit almost just being a follower, trying to be somebody that I wasn't. You know what I mean? Trying to be like my friends, because all my friends smoke. My older cousin, he smoked, so I was like, all right, let me try it out. I'm gonna smoke with y'all, whatever. But as I really started to like, I think you gotta have really big goals, right? Because when you have really big goals, it's almost like you have to change.
Yeah.
It makes you change. And if you don't gotta change, then your goals ain't really that big.
Right.
You know what I mean? If
You're not pushing yourself
you're not
enough.
pushing yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I also think I got that from the gym too. It's like just working out and like hanging out with people who like work out consistently and stuff like that. Like, their whole mindset about life is different just because of what they do for 60 minutes in the gym. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not even about like getting muscles and getting strong. It's about having the willpower to really say, yo, like, you could do better.
Discipline, right?
This discipline, this isn't enough. Like, this isn't where it stops. You know what I mean? Like, you might be pretty good, but if you're pretty good now, then where will you truly be if you put yourself in a position to succeed how you know you really could? You know what
Powerful.
I mean? And you're the only one who really knows. Because when I was like, smoking weed every day, nobody was telling me there was a problem, because everybody else was smoking weed every day.
Right.
Only I knew, nah, this ain't.
It didn't feel right.
It ain't feel right. I'm not where I need to be. Like, this is not like, you know what I mean? And it's not, it's no shade to people who smoke, whatever. But just for me, like, that's why, what I say, like, you are the only one who knows what you need to be successful, or to get to that next level, whatever it is that you're trying to do. You know what I mean? It's a conversation you got to have with yourself. But yeah, that was like one of the most recent things. And then I can also just say, like I said, like before, I didn't really have the confidence to really step out as a full, like, yo, this is me. I'm an artist, or like, this is what I'm trying. This is the ideas and the agendas that I'm trying to push into the world. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to hide behind that facade of like, oh no, I'm just a background guy. I'm just a producer, which I still am. I still do that, but it's like really just being able to like let go of all your inhibitions and just say like, yo, this is who you're meant to be. You know what I'm saying? I actually, it's one of my phone screensavers, but it says, you have to sacrifice who you were to become who you're meant to be. And like, when I was like, cause I ain't gonna lie, quitting weed wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So just like, you know, having that on my screen every day when I woke up, it just helped me a little bit more to get through that process. You know what I mean? Whatever it is for anybody though, I think just putting yourself in a good position to succeed, that is the beginning of self-love. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta give yourself a chance.
You know
and
that was gonna be my next question. Yeah, what does self-love mean to you?
So,
it's kind of like you answered it through that, but
yeah, no, self-love is putting yourself in a position to succeed. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people say they believe in themselves, but like, do you truly believe in yourself? Because, you know what I mean, that it goes deeper than just saying it. It's like, yo, are you making all of the decisions that's giving your future self the chance to become the best version of yourself? You know what I'm saying? What are the small little things that are holding you back? You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I admire about athletes and stuff like that. And that's why I keep going back to like fitness in the gym, because it's so much of a mental thing, because athletes, they already have that. It's like they gotta get that 1% better every day. If you're an athlete at the highest level, like the NFL, MLB, NBA, something like that, everybody's good. We're all the best. So what are you gonna do that's gonna like set you apart? And once you get better, that 1 year, you gotta do it again, because everybody else just got better too. So you gotta keep looking at yourself with like a crazy magnifying glass. Like, all right, I gotta shave off that fat right there, shave that right there. Okay, I gotta do this right. And it's like you gotta keep taking that like account of yourself. Like, all right, how do I just keep getting better and better? And I really admire like somebody like Kobe. Like, I wasn't a big Kobe fan growing up, but recent years, like, he's been like one of my biggest inspirations, because he was just like hyper focused on being the best that he could on the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just super hyper focused on being the best basketball player ever. And he was. He was. It's like, it's not like and I think that's the thing too, is like, your efforts don't go unrewarded. And I think that's where a lot of people, they let that fear set in. It's like, oh man, what if I let go of all of this? What if I let go of this comfortable space that I'm in now, and then I never even reach the other side? It's like, why would I let go of all of this comfortability? Why would I let go of the weed? Why would I let go of this person that I'm hanging out with? Why would I let go of drinking or whatever it is you got to let go of? I don't know. Why would I let go of that when it's no guarantee that I'm gonna get to what I'm aiming for?
So that sometimes you think it's a fear from other people. Like, how would I know if I'm gonna actually get there if I give it up?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just stay right here. It's comfortable right here. I'm gonna stay. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep doing everything that I've been doing, hanging with my same homies, doing the same shit I do every day. Cause what I'm aiming for, it ain't promised. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. So it's like, all right, are you really willing to do everything it takes to be a millionaire, or whatever you have to do? You know what I'm saying? And some people just say, after a while, it's like, I'm probably not gonna be no millionaire, man. The chances of me becoming a millionaire is one in a million, bro. So I'm gonna do exactly what I've been doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, I always say, but that's why I say your goals got to be big enough, because, you know, what's the famous saying? You aim for the stars, land on a cloud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you might not get what you're aiming for immediately, but you're much higher than where you started.
Yep. You're gonna get something that's just for you.
Just for you.
Designed for you. Beautiful, exactly. Right? And like when you mentioned Kobe, so you could take an athlete, a rap artist, a paint artist, me, you, anybody, right? The producers that's here today. Even though we're in different fields and different positions, right? That focus could be passed on to the common thing, I feel like, is the me against me kind of mentality of like, no matter what's going on inside the world, outside in the world, right? You got to look yourself in the mirror and be comfortable with what you see. Like, you know, actually, like in reality and symbolically, like, are you feeling good inside? Do you like what you contribute to the world? Are you, the conversations did you just have with somebody, did you give them something that they could take away with them and make them a better person? Or Did you go apologize to someone because you said something that you might shouldn't have said and it probably hurt their feelings, but did you go back and make that right? Are you righting your wrongs, doing these different kind of things? This is all the stuff that you have to deal with yourself. At the end of the day, it's nobody else but you that you have to hold yourself accountable for, and you got to meet with at the end of the day, right? So I think that thing that Kobe had, that thing that I have, that you have, and anybody else in the world has that's trying to get to this point and focus, is like, it's just me at the end of the day. That's it, right? So that's very powerful within itself.
I mean, one of well, there are two books that I always say changed my life in
I'm
college.
excited.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
My friend from college, he was my roommate. He gifted me that book. Just like, he didn't really gift it to me. It was his book. He let me borrow it, but I just never gave it back.
That's something good to keep.
So he was like, yo, read. Well, he gifted me both of these books. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and 50 Cent has a book with Robert Greene called The 50th Law.
Yes.
And that book is just about fearlessness, right? But one of the things that Robert Greene talks about with 50 Cent is 50 Cent, the reason why he's able to succeed in these different spaces, in these different fields, right, is because from an early point in life, he realized that he only had himself. His mom was killed in the streets. He lived with his grandparents, but his grandparents was raising like 15 other kids. So like, it wasn't like you could, ask your grandpa, oh, I need this, I need that. It's like, we doing the best we can. So you got to figure it out. So from an early point in life, he always realized that he only had himself. And then, there are other things that he went through in his life, him going to jail and different things like that. People turning their back on him. And you start to realize, like, all right, no one is going to hold me accountable for the things that I know I need to do to get to the next point in my life. You know what I'm saying? His was a very harsh reality, but everybody's reality is harsh. I think that some of us just have a blanket or a gloss over, so we don't know how harsh it is until it get harsh.
You know what
I'm saying? Like, it's a quote from Native Son by Richard Wright. He says, this is life, new and strange. New because or he says, what he say? He says, strange because we fear it, new because we've kept our eyes turned away from it. He's pretty much just saying, like, everybody wants to live in this reality that's safe, and we think it's so practical, but we don't realize how unsafe it is until the rug is pulled out from under us and it's too late.
Yeah.
So it's like, you gotta take that accountability, like, now. You know what I'm saying? Say, you know what I mean? Like, it's comfortable till it's not. It's gonna be,
it's like, want to force your hand at that point.
You feel me?
Right?
So it's like, you gotta kind of you gotta realize, like, no matter if you live in Beverly Hills, if you live in Germantown, if you live in wherever, like, life is harsh. It gets harsh for all of us.
Yeah. Did you ever read The Alchemist?
No, I actually haven't.
Yeah.
I actually haven't.
I read it once a long time ago. I still have. I think I got 2 copies actually. If I find the other one, I'll be able to give it to you. But it's definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it back too.
So you said you're gonna keep this one, right? But it's definitely a good read, and I think you will enjoy it. I just want to say thank you again, just for being who you are, and just wanting to seek knowledge and become a better person, because this is what we actually need. And then I'm happy that we were able to connect.
Absolutely.
So just thank you. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to even, be thought of for a space like this. I think, the conversations that you're having are amazing. They need to be had, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely got some people that I want to, like, just put on your radar to try and get on here too. I think what you're doing is amazing for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Before we tap out, give them your social media handles and stuff, and where they could follow you.
Yeah, I'm Robots Aren't Real on everything. It's Robots Aren't Real. Just all one word. That's on everything.
Yeah. And just stay tuned for all of the great stuff that Tommy has coming soon. And thank you guys for staying loyal to me, and then the topics that I discuss on A.K.A. Talks, and just coming in to watch it and view it, because it takes a lot. Like, you don't have to be here, but you choose to be here, and that I appreciate. So I'll continue to give out quality work. And I just hope that everyone's well, feeling good. If you guys need to tap in with me, just DM me on Twitter or Instagram. You guys already know the name A.K.A. Lewis. And just stay tuned for more. Peace, love, and happiness. And always remember, self-love is the best love. I'll see you all soon. Bye.